The information expressed in the following podcast is intended for educational purposes only and was created by and belongs solely to Believe Limited and the Flow podcast and does not necessarily reflect the views of our sponsors. Please speak to your healthcare provider before making any medical decisions.
Time capsule for future generations. Menstrual Awareness Society. Here we go. Hi, I'm Jessica, and welcome to Flow. I'm here with Sarah Watson, sex therapist, and we are here together with Cycle Chats, and we all want to know that burning question. How's your flow? Welcome once again to Flow. We start off Flow with that quick check-in to normalize the reality of menstruation. So, our wonderful Cycle Chat team, how is your flow? Individually, collectively, however it's going.
We always do this. We're always like, do you want to go first?
We never know who to go first. It happens every time.
Emily, so I'm Stephanie, just so you can get accustomed to our voices.
Yes, and I'm Emily. Sometimes we hear that we sound similar, but I don't hear it ever.
I think it's the maybe that little bit of vocal fry you've picked up from me right on the end there.
Possible.
That little salt, that little extra spice in your vocal cords.
I like it.
As my vocal folds rubbed together, and they're like, baby,
nice.
Stop it. Yes.
Well, I guess go, Steph, go. I'll take it away. My flow's been great. Better now that I've addressed that my mental health seems to be severely affected by where I am in my cycle. I'm currently in ovulation. So as you well know, I am feral. I just am on the top of the charts. No one can stop me. I have my red lipstick on. Like, I'm ready. Let's do this. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm riding that high right after that low.
Nice.
It's like, do you ever get like cute aggression in the luteal phase like that?
Absolutely. Are you
so
kidding
great.
me?
Yeah,
I just got a dog, and every time I see him, I want to I scream right into the ether. I'm just like, oh God, he's so cute. Like, he's got no business being that cute. I'm gonna sue, and he's a dog, so
yeah.
I'm not getting anything out of him.
I mean, that's what our luteal phase does, is make us extra upset at how adorable a creature might be. It's a fun side effect.
True.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. True.
Oh.
Emily. Well, I can go. Yeah. So I am in the middle of my menstrual phase right now. I am bleeding, baby. I think I'm on day 3.
Oof.
It's great. My husband and I celebrate every time I get my period.
Yes.
Because we're like, we did it. No babies. Yay. I mean, we wear protection and we do everything that we should, but still we're not ready for that in our lives yet. So we just celebrate. We've been together for 6 years, and we're like, every time I get my period over those 6 years, we just have a party. We're like, yeah, we did it another month. Way to go. I don't know how many couples do that, but it's very exciting. Yeah, period party. Exactly. No babies. Way to go.
Not pregnant. Yeah.
We're here for that.
It feels really great. You feel like you kind of cheated a system in a way. It's awesome.
Yeah. You cheated biology and human nature.
I mean, I condoms and all of that. Wear protection if you don't want that. But yeah. But
you
still,
never know.
It still feels like I'm cheating. You never know. Things happen sometimes, right?
Oh God.
So I just
You
feel
want to
lucky.
Can I tell you a little side story about that?
Yes.
About getting lucky? My friend got pregnant during the second day of her period.
What? Go on.
She ovulated day 2 of her period. The rarity of that is slim to none. So she thought she had gotten pregnant a week after, and when she went and got a checkup of the ultrasound, the tech goes, "No, you got pregnant with the way that the baby is developed. You got pregnant during your period. You ovulated during your period," which is, I guess she said, tends to happen to women who become very infertile at later in their years. So she's like, this most likely is a one and done, and she wasn't really sure if she was going to keep the baby or not, and because of where she was in her life. And she goes, you know what? I got a good job. My partner, though he be very new in my life, is a wonderful man. And she said, I'm just going to do it. And so, yeah, it was
Wow.
crazy. I was like, what are the... she
Well-
goes, of course it would happen to me.
I mean,
That's-
we've heard on this show of extreme menstruation. Season 1, we had
Mhm.
someone on who has 2 vaginas, which was not discovered by doctors until her second birth. So it is true that, like, the female body can just have these mysteries that are solvable if we looked a little harder. But I have
Yeah.
questions about what might be extreme if a ovulation happens and egg is fertilized during
What
like
the
how
hell?
what just happens in the
Yeah.
period in the
So
lining,
it-
like what was
It stayed around. So she ovulated into her period, which can happen,
but then
it's
she didn't shed
extremely
the
rare.
egg.
No, the egg, like,
Just hung out.
like they were just
Hung
like hanging
on.
out in there. Yeah. I was like the person that you're like, you should probably have a glass of water and go home. And it was like, I'm fine. I'm going to go into another club and party. Like, and
Yeah.
it stuck around and it found a sperm that was like, what's up, babe? You like, you come here often? She's like, I'm going to go home with him. It's fine. And all the friends left. They're like, leave her. She does this all the time. And now they're married. So it's like,
Wow.
yeah,
that is
that's
an
how I
epic
imagine
journey.
that. Yeah,
No,
that's
I
how
like that.
imagine
I
it.
can picture that. And that's also like
I would
really
watch their reality show.
100%.
Right.
I hope that would be on
So good.
Bravo, my home away from home. And that's an amazing story, but also terrifying at the same time.
Oh, I know. And listen, I don't play fast and loose. I am also a condom girl through and through. Like,
Yes.
I'm just not ready for it yet. But man, let me tell you, the thoughts in my eyes, like, wonder if the condom malfunctioned. So I ended up taking multiple pregnancy tests after hearing that story, even though there was 0 chance it would have happened. I was like, oh God, I was in proxy. You know, I thought like somehow I was going to get it from her.
Yeah. It's totally contagious.
Yes, very contagious pregnancy. Everybody beware.
Watch
Okay,
out.
Sex ed. Do not listen to this episode for sex
Do not.
ed.
No.
Don't. We're giving you horrible information.
Yeah. So they're going to go
Well,
to
wear
simple
condoms.
sex ed.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh, Jess, where are you? Where are you in your flowage?
I am luteal. I had a really weird one, y'all, and I talked to a great provider. I want to share the wisdom of, you might have a freaky one a year. It's like that can be normalized to say you might have a freaky cycle a year. This
Okay.
may have been that. I bled for 11 out of 26 days.
It didn't
Not
stop
great,
until...
not collectively, but it was just like stuff was happening. But I feel like I'm back on normalcy. Acupuncture is great.
Yes.
I have a different scent. I'm pungent in a different way presently. That feels like it must have to do with whatever else is going on. But it's never talked about how it all smells and how that is good information to get. Different discharge smells during the blood. Great to know. You can tell if you have an iron deficiency if you get in tune with it. So, yeah. Sarah, what's your IUD doing to you right now?
My IUD is keeping it real, and I just ovulated. What is today? Yesterday, and I was wondering on Monday why I was such a nightmare. Oh, it all makes sense. Because I was just so sassy and overwhelmed and emotional, and my ovulation is now my new period, it feels like, emotionally. So, but no period, thank goodness. Just
I get
in
that
the
too
luteal
with
phase.
ovulation.
It makes me crazy.
I turn into a psycho sometimes.
Same.
And I'm like, is my body just we wanted a baby? I don't know what it wants and why it's yelling at me. I'm like, we should be pretty jazzed right now. And I don't know why we're getting into a screaming match.
Yes, it's pretty
Well,
wild.
the
Hormones.
system. The hormone, the system, like you were mentioning, the system is built, the reproductive system is built to reproduce.
Right.
So we are still, in tune with our systems and get to say what happens in our bodies. But that system wants it to happen.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it might be that cute aggression becomes almost rapey. That's not the right word for it.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
We'll be right back after this quick break.
This ad is brought to you by Von Vendi, Von Willebrand Factor Recombinant.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I didn't always feel empowered to speak up for myself or ask for the care and support I needed. Becoming part of a community and hearing other people's experiences helped to change my perspective. That's why my deciding factor is making my voice heard. To hear my story and access other helpful resources, drop by Von Vendi, that's VONVENDI.com/patient-stories.
You guys are so entertaining.
Yes, so good.
We're
Blessed to have you
hysterical.
here.
Are we back?
And we're back. Welcome back to Flow. We are having such a great time here with Cycle Chats, Emily and Stephanie. There they are. So we're going to talk extreme menstruation. We're going to talk about whatever we dang well feel like in the Menstrual Awareness Society today. But I would like to know personally if either of you have had an extreme period, a freaky one of a year or an ongoing extreme experience, if you'd be willing to share.
I have to say, mine are pretty right on. I started my period when I was 11. And since then, I feel like they have been pretty regular. There are times of like just weird alignment with what's happening in my life and then my period, I find. So like definitely during like I think it's happened multiple times when Stephanie and I have started either Cycle Chats or a new show under the Cycle Chats umbrella. I get my period the day that we drop the thing, and I'm always like, is this something telling me like this is meant to be? I got my period on the day of my wedding. That was unexpected. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know if like I said, I don't know if there's an alignment that somebody or something out there, the universe is like, I will gift this to you so that you know you are on the right path in the right time, in the right flow, as it were. Because that happens constantly. And I'm like, somebody is playing a trick on me. This is a joke that this all seems to line up. So I don't know if I've ever had a weird one, but that does happen way too often for it to just be like circumstance.
But you take it as a sign of a good flow. Like you're in flow if you are
of a
flowing
good
at
flow,
monumental
yeah.
flows.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I take it as a sign from the ether, just being like, yes, man, keep going. You're on the right path. Keep flowing, girl. And I'm like, all right, you got it. Let's do it.
Yes. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah. It makes me feel great. I mean, especially when it does happen on those monumentous days, I'm like, all right, great. I'm in the right place, the right time. Here we go. Let's continue.
Yeah.
So would you say
So
you're someone who
that's my
enjoys your
story.
period? Yeah. Do you enjoy the bleeding part then?
Oh, so I have to go back to my origin story of when I
let's
got
hear it.
my period. Then,
Tell us
which
all about it.
everybody on our podcast knows, because
But
Steph
flowers
and I
would
shared
love to
our
hear it,
period
yes.
stories exactly. So apologies if you've already heard this. If you're one of our listeners, it's such a funny story though. So I got my period when I was 11. I was born into a Jewish family and raised Jewish. So I get my period the morning that we're supposed to go visit my middle brother at his family college weekend. So I get my period. I call my mom in. I'm like, Mom, I got my period. I'm so excited to tell her. And she claps me across the face. And I'm like, oh my God. I've never been hit before in my entire life. And so I'm just in shock for a minute.
Tradition.
I didn't know though. They don't warn you about this in Judaism. It's not like, hey, little lady, when you get your period, your mom's going to slap you real hard. I wasn't told. I was totally in shock. My pants are down. She smacks me. I'm like, she's like, you're a woman. She's so excited. She tells my dad, we have to stop at CVS on the way to visit my brother in Pennsylvania. So my dad goes in, he gets me pads because I wasn't willing to try tampons yet. We get in the car. We go on the 2.5 hour to 3 hour trip up to Pennsylvania from New York. And I get to this family weekend. I'm pumped. I'm so excited and proud to be in this new phase of my life. I see my brother in this hall of all of these families, college kids, probably at least 200 people here. I walk in and I scream, I got my period.
Yes.
In front of all of those strangers and my brother. He turned red. He was mortified. And yeah, that was when I got my period. That's my first period story. So yes, I am always very proud a menstruator. I'm always the one that's like, I have a tampon, I'm going to the bathroom. Like, I make it make people very aware that I am menstruating, because I don't understand why there's shame around it. Like, I didn't choose for this to happen, so it's just a part of being a woman. So, like, I'm just gonna be really proud about it. Here I am. I have a tampon and a pad. Do you need one? I'm going to use it, and then I do my thing.
I love that.
Bro.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
Yes, Stephanie.
dude, I lose my collective faculties. So I think I may have PMDD. The reason I say this is because I completely turn into a different person. My mental health takes a severe decline. I want to do the big unalive. It's not great. It's very, very uncomfortable. I've always been like a little sad when I was younger, and like my mom always said, I noticed you shift a lot when you get your period. She said, but there, like more recently, as obviously we get older, more stress is added to our plate. I think it just doubled down as I got older. And so it's been, I like the cry that I get to do during it. So it's just like good hearty sob, and you just kind of are in your feelings, but I don't like the other freaky stuff that comes with it. So I try to be very mindful when I'm about to get my periods, because I know, okay, I'm not in the right headspace, and this isn't me. This is my body just producing severe amounts of PMS, essentially. So, yeah.
How long does that last for you, Stephanie, usually? Because I think it's different for everybody.
2 days into my period, about 2 days into my period, I'm good.
Okay.
It starts to lift. So as I get my period, it will start to lift. But like right up until, and I'll always know too, because I'll be like, I'm feeling spicy, like things are looking a little weird to me. And like, I'll look at my tracker. Most of the time it says around 10 to 8 days is when I'll start feeling it. And sometimes I have symptoms, and sometimes I just get my period and I'm like, whoa, what happened?
Right.
So it really just depends on the kind of the groundwork, so to speak, that I'm doing to prep. But when I'm not taking care of myself, and I'm just like sucking down caffeine and like not eating and like having, looking at water as my hydration source, then things are going to get dicey. But when I actually take care of myself, which is what you're supposed to do, the symptoms are a lot less and more manageable, for sure.
Right. So hydrating, managing stress. What else? Do you have any other tips that you
exercise?
Yeah.
Don't kill yourself in the gym, but like go for a walk, do a couple crunches, like yoga. I think that has been my saving grace. And I do notice that when I am putting that into my forefront every day, I'm a lot better across the board. But I think exercise gets a bad rap. Unfortunately, I think people think you got to do it because you got to get ripped, but I think you just have to do it and keep in mind that it is truly a part of just being healthy. So even if you don't, and training to your phase, Emily and I learned that from a couple guests of ours, is that during each phase, you're supposed to train differently.
Yes.
You can't, like, I'm not gonna do like hip thrust and like crazy squats while I'm on my period or right before it. I'm going to do something a little bit gentler, because my body is like prepping for this really intense thing. So it doesn't crave that.
Yes.
So that's my biggest thing. And also confiding in people. Like, I'll let Emily know, like, I'm getting my period. And like, it's funny because Emily and I, when we do sync up, we'll start getting testy with each other around the same time. And so we'll kind of know, we'll be like, hey, just a heads up, I'm getting my period. She's like, me too. So like, we'll know that we're going to be a little bit short with one another, and we still love each other. So having a good support system, I think, is very, very important when it comes to having a healthy bleed, honestly, because if you can't talk to someone and like tell them, hey, this is what I'm going through, you feel very alone, and you don't have to be.
Yes. That's so, I mean, communication is key. throughout, right? I know we're all like,
Duh.
We have podcasts about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as we all talk into our microphones, yes, communication is key.
Communication is key. I say it to every client and every time. I mean, I feel like we talk about it every time we do our podcast, but it's so silly. Like, it's a simple thing to say to your partner, whomever you're working with, right? Whether it's romantic partner or business partner, whomever, to be like, hey, I'm feeling the feels, or I'm a hot disaster today. But we're not trained that way. Like, we have not been.
Right. And for like emotional support, but quite frankly, also because in today's world, we need that conversation because we don't have enough intel yet correlated. Sylvia Plath probably had PMDD and probably didn't understand progesterone, right? And the part of what progesterone does to us that makes us feel so good and means we could hold on to an egg and all that. I always think of like good feeling. If you like roller coasters, when you're first starting to come down, it's good, but it's like terrifying when it's a relax that your body has to go into. And that shocking relaxation is what progesterone can do to people with PMS and PMDD, right? So it's like, how do you know how to talk about feelings that might be overwhelming emotion that are coming from hormone messengers saying, get so relaxed now, like as if you were falling from the sky. And it's like, wait, that's not relaxing. And that, like, to figure all that out, we need to dialogue about what's going on.
What it is,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And not just, so I think the hardest part is like, I mean, look, to each their own when it comes to medication. I'm on medication. I'm on a low dose of antidepressants. I'm hoping to eventually be off of it. That's my choice. But the first thing my gynecologist did was like, well, I'm gonna prescribe an antidepressant, and like there was no lead up to it. It was just take this every day. And I was kind of like, and it like sent me, it caused a panic attack, which, you know, there was other stuff that led into developing an anxiety disorder. I'm 99%, 98, 99% recovered depending on the day. But like I think unfortunately our medical system often wants to push a pill right away instead of, she didn't even bother to like try to ask me holistically what I wanted or try to come up with another game plan. It was just a pill was pushed on me immediately. And that makes me sad because I could tell she's burnt out, or maybe she's not, and she gets a little residual from it. But either way, it was not a good experience. I didn't feel really cared for or listened to. And you know, the fact that like I had to come to her with the information and to say, hey, this stuff is happening to me. I think it might be this. And she couldn't even tell me that that's what it was. She's like, oh, you're just sad. And I'm like, well, no, this doesn't feel just sad to me. Like this is more than just sad. And it happens cyclically. Like I can mark when it's happening.
So did you get a new provider after that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
good. Sure.
Shirley did. Yeah, I like went up. So I'll give you a little side anecdote. This is the last time I ever saw her. She was like, she's like, okay, you're just gonna sit over here, and that one of the girls is gonna come back and grab you to fill out the rest of the paperwork. I said, okay, no problem. So I'm sitting, I'm waiting. 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes. I'm like, maybe I should go out there. It's weird that, you know, she's not come back. So I walk over and I was like, hi, I think you guys left me in the room. I just wanted to make sure. The doctor come out. She goes, oh, you didn't go up to the room? You were just waiting in there? Yeah, you needed to go up to the front. What were you doing? Like condescending. And I was like, oh, you actually told me that the girl was going to come back. But no worries. Thank you. And I was like, yeah, I'm never coming back here again. And it just felt, it did not feel like someone who genuinely had my best interest. And it just felt like she was burnt out, which I feel for the woman. If that's the case, I hope you figure it out. I know she had some stuff going on with her family. But like my vaginal health and my sexual health is incredibly important. It is, I think it goes overlooked a lot. And this, I even think, goes for men too, is that we are not taught about the health of it. Like it doesn't have to be this like sexy, hot porno thing. Like sexual health is also just a normal it's just how your body functions.
Right.
It doesn't always have to be such a seductive topic.
No, we
So-
sexualize it, right? In that
Oh, yeah.
capacity, right? But no one's like, hey, let me talk to you about what's going on and how things should be and what's going to happen through all of these phases of your life, right? But I'm so glad you got a new provider. That one was a
Yeah,
dud.
she was interesting, you know.
We talk a lot about advocacy on this show and on a lot of the Bloodstream shows, but advocacy is this great thing we applaud when we see patients do it in our world, to be like, great, this is making a change. It's also an essential role that everyone needs to play if they are a patient at any point. To show up at a doctor's office, to be the one who knows your body the best. While doctors may know medicine the best, they do not know your body the best. And that relationship building between a great provider and a patient who's having an extreme experience, relationship is so important.
Yes.
Such a partnership. So what was the experience of speaking with a provider who heard more of what you were going through, Stephanie? And like, how did that shift your experience?
I think I would say my therapist actually I went through a couple of them to find somebody I actually liked. That not necessarily I didn't like. It's not that I didn't like any of my other ones, but they just were never a right fit. And this particular therapist, she validated the things that I was going through as like, because she had gone through her own. Let me break this down. She had also gone through panic disorder and generalized anxiety disorder and depression. She didn't share it in grave detail. She had me open up about my story first. And then she also told me, she goes, I just want you to know you're in good hands, because I too work with my own team for things like that. So I hear you, and I'm validating that those things are real. But what we're also going to do is we're going to decipher what is just your anxiety acting up, and like what are things in more of like, we did like a lot of inner child healing, because at that point, that's what I needed. And she said, we're going to differentiate the two. So we're going to be able to now dig a little deep with that, but also know that you're dealing with getting over this disorder. And so she validated that I wasn't just, just to pop a pill in my mouth and like make it go away. She's like, let's actually put practice into what we're doing.
Yes.
And she listened. She shared a little bit of her story without making me feel like I had to therapy her. And she just, I don't know, she just, she did this thing that I had never experienced before. When I would speak, she'd take her hand and she'd put it on her heart. And it really made me feel like she was taking what I was saying and actually listening, and then helping me get to my own conclusion. So she believed me. She believed me when I said I was feeling these things, but also was like, I hear you, but what about this? And I'm like, oh my God, you know what? I might have been looking at it weird. So she believed me. That's what it was. She believed me, and she helped me differentiate what was a normal bodily function and what was something I needed to work on.
By asking you questions about your
Yeah.
experience, not just
Yeah,
telling you what was normal or not normal in a general sense, but your specific experience.
She really, she listened. And I think that's more providers need to just, I mean, I'm a makeup artist. I do that with my clients. I listen when they sit in my chair and they say, oh my God, make sure you, sorry, or they like apologize for their face. I'm like, okay. I get where we're starting off here, is that really nothing I'm going to put on them is going to be good enough. So we're going to have to lay on the self-talk a little bit. And like, so in my own way, I have it's weird. I'll like practice what my therapist has used.
Yes,
on
I
me on
love
them.
that.
And they're like,
I
oh
love
my
it.
God. Yeah, I say a
Salon
lot.
chairs.
Do you
Makeup chairs, for sure.
being
I think they're
sick-
like a couch, therapy couch.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. We talk about it all the
100%.
time in our salon, because we're connected to a salon. And so all the time, all the artists will be like, oh my God. And like, we love it though, because in a way we're opening up to them. So it's, they just,
So
they
how
believe
often
me.
is someone sitting in your chair then and you're asking about their period? I'm curious. How often do you feel like you're actually talking about periods with people you meet?
So I'm big on handing out our podcast cards. Like I'll somehow always slip it into the conversation. I'll be like, by the way, did you know I have a we talk to a guest and they'll be like, oh, what do you mean by that? I was like, oh, I have a podcast. And they're like, what? People think it's the coolest thing ever. It's like a party trick. And so then I'll kind of open up that we're a women empowerment podcast and we talk about what it means to be a woman, how we started as a period podcast. 9 times out of 10, the room will get really giggly and shy because we're not taught to talk about it like it's normal. Our core group of people that we work with are very open. We'll be like, because it's mostly women and 2 men. And so we always let the boys know, we're like, we're on our period right now and we all sync up. And sometimes it's like, we're all getting real testy with each other. And we know now, right? We've all looked at each other's calendars. So we're like, hey, heads up, in 3 days, I'm getting my period. So people are like, oh, back off. Stephanie's she's not dealing with the shit today.
Yes. I love it.
But like my general people, I feel like Emily might have more luck with talking because she's a teacher.
Yeah,
she's a professor.
Yes. You were discussing a little bit before that, like, you're a woman yourself, you have your own problems, so you have a lot of allowance and understanding for your students, obviously. Yes.
So much so. I mean, I'm a theater teacher, so like that idea of discovering identity and emotions and expressing yourself and just being whoever you want to be and that being okay, the idea of empathy and sympathy, that is the world in which I am constantly in. So, I try not to like bash them over the head with like, I have a podcast. I wait until like the semester's over and then I'm like, if you like the way I teach, I do have a podcast. Here is the information. And that's when I hand out cards. But since some of the girls and people that identify as women do understand and know what I'm talking about, I have a bunch of students that will just be open and honest about, like, I had a girl email me probably a week or 2 ago and she was like, hey, I can't come to class today. I'm I'm in my period and I am feeling it. I was like, I sent her back an email. I was like, I get it. I totally get it. Don't worry about it. If you want the extra credit points, here's the assignment, feel better. Like, and then I had another student who came up to me and was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I have endometriosis and I don't know if you know what that is. I was like, of course I know what that is. I have a podcast and we just talked about endometriosis and had a whole episode on it. And she was like, oh, that's amazing. So I gave her my business card. It was like, if there's anything that I can do, throughout the semester to make you more comfortable, just let me know. She was like, wow, this never happens where teacher A knows what I'm talking about and B is open enough to say whatever you need. Yeah, just let me know. She was like, a lot of people just don't believe me and they think it is a made up something. I'm like, nope, I totally understand. And so she had sent me an email one semester and was like, hey, I am in a bad space and I can't come to class today. So I'm just trying to be open and honest and understanding because there are days myself when I don't want to come in. I started my period this time on Sunday night at 1 a.m. So I had to go in and teach on Monday. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be at home on the couch with my heating pad and chocolate galore. But I went in and I taught and I did what I have to do because I'm an adult. And so I try and give them grace and they also give it back to me. But like before we were talking about communication, like I say all the time, is a two-way street. I can communicate to you, but unless you communicate back to me, it's a one-sided relationship and I can't read your mind. I think a lot of people think that the other person can read their mind. They can't. It just doesn't work that way unless you actually open your mouth and tell me what's going on so that I can therefore come up with a solution to the problem. So communication is so important. And I think so important in absolutely every relationship, but teacher student, because that's where I am constantly, is so necessary. They're so scared of like that authority that I have over them. And while yes, I am a professor and you are my student, I still want to get to know you on a human level, who you are, what your hopes and dreams are, and help you if I can along the way. And I can't do that unless you give me a little. Like, there are still students that I don't know in the class that I teach at one of my colleges, because that class is 110 kids. And there are still probably about 40 kids I don't know because they've never cared to participate or come up to me after class and introduce themselves. I just met one of them the other day. She came up to me. She was like, "Hey, can you tell me if you have my reaction paper?" And I was like, "Sure. What's is your name?" She was like, "Oh, I'm blank. I'm the one with the really long last name." And I was like, "Oh, well, it's so nice to meet you." And she giggled and she was like, "It's nice to meet you too. We have one more week of class." And I had no idea who she was. That's not great. Yeah, that's not great. So communication is so important. I want to actually know you and like what's going on, because then I can help you if there's a problem.
Well, so, and menstrual leave is important. It's important to have a system of menstrual leave.
Yes.
Being like, yes, we understand that you might need to take a knee today. And on a level of student teacher, the fact that you're able to be in a position of authority and foster that reality is wonderful. And having to, I'm sure, stand up against sometimes whatever permeation of other authority that would like it to be different. But for you to maintain this is how things are going to be run. That's what we imagine
in my
the Menstrual
classroom,
Awareness
at least.
Society.
Right.
Yeah.
But that should be like that in every classroom, right? Like,
yes, we have a long way to go, but I at least try and foster that in my classroom. Yeah. The first thing I literally say to my students on our first day is that this is a safe and judgment-free environment.
Yes.
Because I just want them to know that their voice matters and I hear them, because I don't think they understand that a lot of the time. Especially this next generation, because they were born with phones in their hands. So they're like, communication is over the phone. And I'm like, nope.
No.
Communication is face to face.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. Texting is texting and talking is talking. It's very different.
We're to practice
Perception
talking.
of communication, perception of time too. We were talking about time, or like the menstrual time at 1 a.m. is when your body's like, time to start doing this and then take a rest. But then at 8 a.m. you're like, I have to be somewhere. And really that's white patriarchal time versus menstrual time, which would be exactly what nature needs to happen when the rain falls and it floods. When it's done flooding is when it's done flooding, not at 8 a.m. necessarily.
Right.
So to coexist right now between these two things, but hopefully, like yourself, be in a position to make more spaces that are understanding of menstrual leave would be a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just need to be better about it. I think people need to be prouder of the fact that they menstruate and speak up more about it. And then the people on the other side need to be open to hear it. Like, I grew up in a household where the men outnumbered the women, but like my brothers never were disgusted by it or were like, "Oh, Emily, keep that. Like, we don't want that in our bathroom." Like, they were very, I was open with them clearly as I screamed, "I got my period" to my brother. And like my dad was also extremely
Wait, why
open.
did you do that, by the way? But why? I mean, I'm really honored to know you that you did that, but why?
So amazing.
I was just really proud of myself, and I wanted my brother to know. That's why I did it. And I thought screaming it was the best way to do it.
I love it.
11-year-old Emily really wanted everybody to understand that where she was in life.
I mean, it all matches. Like, it lines up.
I always wanted my brother's approval, always, because I love him so much. So like that was just, I would do things like that all the time. If I got like into NYSMA that year, which was like a cool musician thing, I would like run down the hall screaming it. So this was just another milestone in my life that I was like, I need to scream it at him, and I did. And 200 strangers. Yeah,
I love it.
I love that for you.
I love it. I think we should like get everyone
very
to
Emily
be doing
trait.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's replace the slapping tradition with the yelling tradition.
Yes.
Oh my
Let's
God.
do that.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can.
I'm at
handle
least
that.
if we do have a daughter, my husband and I, if we ever have kids, but if we have a daughter, I'm at least going to let her know that that's going to be a part of maybe what would happen. I'm not just going to like.
What about
throwing
water?
Her.
What about throwing water in the face as the new?
I don't know. It's still aggressive.
It's very soap opera-y, but I think that was the point. I think the point, right, that is to be like your whole life is going to be different now because that's what happens at that time. I want to slap for menopause when that happens.
Same. We looked it up because we had our moms actually on the podcast, and we looked up what the slap meant in Judaism, and I cannot remember what it means, but if you want, you can go back and listen to that episode with my mom was like, I'm gonna look it up, and she didn't. I don't remember what it means. That was so long ago. That was our second episode 2.5 years ago, baby.
How many episodes do you have now?
Oh God.
We're at
I was just looking. I was listening to
something, but that's only on cycle chats, and then we have sync up, so we're probably close to 100 altogether.
Nice.
We'll add a round of applause here. Congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ooh.
Yes.
Did you find it?
It's supposed to be.
Literally can't remember.
So essentially, it's like it's so that they understand the physicality of becoming a woman.
Well,
and how essentially intense it's gonna be. So
I mean, yes, that slap was intense.
That's very accurate.
Yeah.
But also so scary at the same time.
So scary. I had literally never been touched in my family before.
What about just like a little
like a play tap, but she cracked me across the face. I was like, oh my God, I have done something wrong. It was very, very scary. That was a traumatic moment in my life.
A little bit of trauma.
Yeah, traumatic and excited. I think about that all the time. I like have that image in my head forever and ever.
Sure.
I remember my mom, or like telling my mom that I got my period, and she goes, she's like, yeah, well, you're gonna have it every month. And I was like, what? Like I didn't really grasp the severity of like when you get it. I was like, this is super fun, right? Like I'm part of this elite group now. And then I realized it had to happen every month, and I was like, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
But what is even a month? We decided a month is called a month because we started marking 28 days.
Right.
As a calendar. Like women did that. Said like, okay, that's
oh my God. You know what?
I
never put two and two together. My mind is
just
all
blew,
over the wall
just
now.
Blew your mind. They love that.
Yeah. Just blew my labia right out.
Oh, honored.
Menorah,
there's a place in Idlewild, California, where there's actually some early indigenous drawings of calendars from young time. Yeah, brilliant.
I love that.
Women invented time in that regard.
Could you imagine?
We invented everything. Yeah.
It's mother time.
Start saying that.
Mother time.
Well,
mother time.
I have tried to be better about my pronouns when and if I ever refer to God. Instead of the she that so many of us were born. I try and do they.
I just picture God having like just a bodacious set and like both parts and a beard and the most fabulous glitter mustache, heels, gorgeous legs. Yeah. I mean, what a beautiful specimen.
Yeah.
Snaps that fan is just like, it's just it's a drag queen. God is just a giant drag queen.
That's what I was thinking as you were describing. Did you guys see those AI? Did you see?
Yes, of the Republicans.
No, I haven't seen
I'll find
this.
it for you.
Oh, okay. It's so good.
Genius.
It's so good.
Someone took
AI drag
of the Republicans, prominent Republicans right now. They call them the Republicans, like RuPaul.
Yeah, to be like the new instead of
like on Drag Race.
It's absolutely brilliant.
So good.
Great. Yeah. God is a menstruator. No, I don't know. God is menstruation. Something about
God is menstruation.
Well, think about it, right? If you put like menstruation is part of the process of creating life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So if God created life, then in a way, we're creating life in our bodies. So
scream it down the hallways.
So are we gods?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are higher powers. We all have high power.
I think that's a different episode.
Yes.
We could probably expand on a little bit.
Yeah.
But
there's a really good thing on YouTube if anybody wants to watch called The Egg. And my husband and I have watched it. I don't even know how it is.
Millions of times, same.
man.
yeah.
blow
Okay, go
your
watch it.
mind.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
I watched it and I was like in tears when I was done. I was like,
Yeah,
this is
it's-
beautiful. Like,
Yeah, it's a beautiful idea of just kind of what humans are.
I love a chef's
We
kiss
will.
on there. We will
Yeah.
do that. I
We
know.
will include that in the resource notes. We will include cycle chats and sync up and
Yes.
everything that you're doing. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us together as menstruating individuals. We look forward to more of it, as more menstruators should always be talking to each other, to
Yes.
you, Emily, Stephanie, to us,
Thank you.
Sarah and Jessica. Thank you so much for being on Flow.
Thank you for having us in your flow.
damn, I got nothing. Thanks for syncing up with us.
Oh my God.
That was
I love
good.
it.
That was
That's
good.
perfect.
Cheers. Flow is produced by Bloodstream Media and edited by Kay Vermeil. Shout out to Flow's creative director Amy Board and hosts Jessica Richmond and Sarah Watson. New episodes are available the second Thursday of each month.
Hey, that's the day after I start menstruating.